Example 3, using a ratio table. I'm on page 200 in your hardcover. The nutrition facts label on the box of crackers shows that there are 240 milligrams of sodium in every 36 crackers. You eat 15 crackers. How much sodium do you consume? The ratio of sodium to crackers is 240 to 36. Use a ratio table to find an equivalent ratio with 15 crackers. So you're setting up the same ratio table that we have been doing before. The noticeable change is that you start out with crackers with 36 in the pack, but you want to go lower. You want to find out what it is if it's only 15. So you've got to bring that number down. So you start with 240 to 36. Our first approach is to look at crackers because crackers has two numbers filled in. We don't know any of these white spots yet. So we have to get from here to here and figure out the calculations. In this case, they did division and multiplication. Why is that the best to go right now? I would say because, as I said before, when you multiply and divide, you have to do the same to the top and bottom, whereas addition and subtraction are different. So, if you're going to divide here, you know you're going to divide up here. If you're going to divide down here, same, multiply, same. So think that through. B, you eat 21 crackers. How much sodium do you consume? Well, if you notice that you can add the two middle columns in the table above. So, if you consume 120 milligrams of sodium plus 20 milligrams, that's 140. And the reason we know that answer is because they started on the bottom. They added 18 crackers plus 3 is 21 crackers. So if I did 18 plus 3, then I must have to do 120 plus 20. And that'll give me my 140. All right, I do have an example. Oh, let's look at the study tip. This might be one of those situations where you understand it or you don't understand it, and that's okay. In example 3, notice that you could use one step in the ratio table if you work with fractions, and that is to multiply 1/2 times 1/6 times 5, and that would give you 5/12. All right, so let's take a look at, and that's just putting everything in the lowest, simplest form. All right, let's take a look at the examples. I should click that out of there. There we go. The first one is the nutrition facts label on a bag of pretzel rods. Shows that there are 450 milligrams of sodium in every 3 pretzels. You eat 2 pretzel rods. How much sodium do you consume? That's A. So please set up the chart for A. Then you eat 5 pretzel rods. How much sodium do you consume? In this case, do you have to make another chart? That's up to you. Or is there a way you can try to figure it out the way they did over here in part B? Go ahead and pause the tape, figure out your answer, and come back. Here are the answers to the 2 problems. See what you have, and let's check out the video. Oops, here we go.
The nutrition facts label on a bag of pretzel rods show that there are 450 milligrams of sodium in every 3 pretzel rods. Begin by setting up a table. You know that the ratio is 450 to 3. Part A. You eat 2 pretzel rods. How much sodium do you consume? Put 2 under pretzel rods in the Part A column. You find that the multiplier from ratio to Part A is 2/3. Multiply 450 by 2/3 to get 300. You consume 300 milligrams of sodium when you eat 2 pretzel rods. Part B. You eat 5 pretzel rods. How much sodium do you consume? Put 5 under pretzel rods in the Part B column. You find that the multiplier from ratio to part B is 5/3. Multiply 450 by 5/3 to get 750. You consume 750 milligrams of sodium when you eat 5 pretzel rods.
Okay, if you did not figure it out that way, because the way they figured it out was through your study tip, if you did not figure it out that way, please discuss it with a partner on how you did it and also how they did it on the video. Figure that out between the two of you. Pause the tape and do that, and then come back for example 4. Example 4. You mix 3 pints of yellow paint for every 4 pints of blue paint to make green paint. You use 10 pints of blue paint. How much green paint do you make? Okay, the ratio of yellow paint to blue paint is 3 to 4. We see that in the chart. Then in our problem, it says you use 10. So 10 what? 10 pints of blue paint. So we put the 10 here. Again, we are going to figure it out from the bottom up. I'm sorry, I'm moving on. Now, you use 7.5 pints of yellow paint and 10 pints of blue paint. How did they figure that out? Well, they did 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay? And then they knew that 2 times 5 is 10. If you did that, you have to do the same thing on top. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Written in an improper fraction is 3 over 2. Then we take 3 over 2, which we multiply because before we multiply, we have to switch that 1.5 into an improper fraction, so they did it right away. Again, let me go over that. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Now they decided down here, we're going to multiply that times 5. In order to multiply 1.5 times 5, I first have to convert it to an improper fraction. That's what 3 over 2 is. Then I can multiply times 5 and I get 7.5 pints. Okay, now you use 7.5 pints of yellow paint and 10 pints of blue paint. So you make 7.5 plus 10 equals 17.5 pints of green paint. Because, notice, the question is, you need both of these to come up with green. And that's what we're trying to decide. Green. Okay, let's look at our study tip. In example 4, notice that you could use one step in the ratio table. You could multiply 1/2, that's what you're doing here, 4 divided by 2, 3 divided by 2, that's 1/2, times 5, and you would get 5 over 2. Okay, we already know this. So if we take half of that and multiply it then times 5, we're good. All right, let's look at the example I have for you. You mix 2 pints of blue paint for 5 pints of red paint to make purple paint. You use 18 pints of red paint. How much purple do you make? Again, you're going to pause the video, make your chart, show your work, come back for your answer. Your answer is 25 1/5 pints.
You mix 2 pints of blue paint for every 5 pints of red paint to make purple paint. You use 18 pints of red paint. How much purple paint do you make? Begin by creating a table. You know the ratio of blue to red is 2 to 5. You know that you use 18 pints of red paint. Add the ratio to find purple. Because you only need to know how much purple paint you make, you do not need this box. You find the multiplier from ratio to actual pints to be 18/5. Multiply 7 by 18/5. You will make 25 2/10 pints of purple paint.
Again, if that did not make sense to you or you figured it out a different way, that's fine. Discuss it with your partner. Discuss it so that you understand what that video meant, and you may have to back this up and watch it again, or you totally understand the chart that you made. I'd like you, though, to be able to start connecting with how they're figuring it out on the video because they're taking it a step higher. Now do the on your own in example 4. You have the example 4 on your own. When you're done, please check your answer in the book.